God.
All right. So sorry about the delay, everybody. There were some technical difficulties. And by everybody, I mean, looks like the three of you. Um, but we'll get
All
there.
I know is right now, yeah, I fought the urge to give in to the meme and be like, get somebody else to do it. I'm fight like daily. I fight the urge to be, get somebody else to do it. Y'all didn't want us. Y'all didn't want our help, so y'all can go fuck yourselves.
I
You, huh?
Hold on one second. That must be my computer.
Oh no.
I was hearing your audio double.
Oh,
We
okay, my
are
bad.
we are amateurs. Let's be clear.
Highly, highly. We're motivated. We're semi motivated. Well, I mean, motivation's really kind of subjective when you think about it.
I think it's more just fighting entropy. It's like
Yeah.
we're like, man, shit's going down. Get away from the bird seat, Sasha. Sasha. Sasha, get away from the bird
See,
seat.
Sasha's emotionally done with that too. So I mean, honestly, what are we even doing here?
I do not need just crumbly dog food eating dog poops.
That's true. That's literally
I
the only reason I could see that being a problem because, it's hilarious when they do it, but then when it comes out the other end, then it becomes a thing.
Oh man, I guess we got to talk about the thing
The
that,
thing.
the thing we were
The
kind of
reason the reason I'm basically like, get somebody else to do it.
we were at the end of our last broadcast, which was only on Facebook and not on YouTube, and I can't download a copy to put on YouTube. So for anybody who doesn't watch it on Facebook, all 10 of you, um, we did a 2-hour show where we got just a couple of us got
Yeah.
drunker as the evening went along.
Yep.
And we knew by
It
the end
was
of it,
it was rough.
we knew by the end of it how
It
things
was
were looking,
rough. It was
and
rough.
and the last month has been like,
Rough.
yeah, I don't know why I'm trying to put it in.
It's yeah, at this point, let's put it like this. There's a lot of people with a lot of things that they want to say, that a lot of people with a lot of blame. There's, as the old saying goes, success has many fathers, but failure is an orphan. I'm just gonna be very, very blunt, very basic bitch, and just say more people are willing to risk their own destruction than to buy time and have to thank a black woman for it.
I think that's certainly a big portion of it. I
I
don't think
think
that's
that's
the only
more
portion, but I
I
think that's
think
a
that's
big
the
portion.
I think that's a bigger portion than a lot of people want to admit, because that means a lot of conversation. That means this is a 400-year-old conversation we have not had, that we are unwilling to have, and that we would rather and that a lot of people would rather die and are dying than have.
I think there were. Do I think it was insurmountable and unwinnable? No.
Yes, I do. I do. She had to be perfect.
Well, she
All
did
he
have to
had to
be
do is
perfect, but
she had to be perfect. He had to just show up.
well, that's a considerable factor. Is the fact that you know, a black woman has to be perfect, and he just can fail upwards for his entire life into the presidency twice. But I believe that this was, if done correctly, possibly winnable. But I don't think it was done correctly. I don't think that there was perfection. Now, the question is, had it been perfect, could she have won? I don't know. I think she could have. I think there was a path to victory. I think it involved, in many respects, distancing oneself from an incredibly unpopular president, at the very least, and running a campaign that doesn't just carry around like Dick Cheney or Dick Cheney's daughter, you know, arm in arm to the front of it. Now, had she done all of the things that I would want and she still lost, it would be a lot easier and more credible to blame the left as opposed to just when people saying I believe wokeness lost this election. Like, did you see her running a woke election? Because she wasn't running a fucking woke election.
That's the thing. She really was. She was trying to give. She was trying to give the white working class what they wanted, or what was thought that they wanted.
But she ran a campaign for white voters who made over $100,000 a year, and they're going to go for Trump. They just are. And as much as between the Republicans and the Democrats, I mean, it's hard. The Republicans start as the whitest
They
party,
do.
so to say that they're not getting any whiter is kind of weird. But all the same, the Democratic electorate is getting whiter, and the Republican is getting less white. That is a conversation
And
the Democrats, I think, need to have.
it is a conversation that they do need to have, and I don't think they're going to have it because right now they're looking at who they're looking at to run the party. Let's put it like this: they are going to ghost the ones that brought them.
If fucking Rahm Emanuel ends up running the DNC,
They're
I am turning independent. Like,
they're fucked because it's a case of black women have basically said, we have been carrying you motherfuckers for a good 25, 30 years. And this is how you're going to repay us. We are out. We are done. We have clocked out. Basically, what I've been seeing is people saying, I ain't helping nobody but other black women, and that includes cis and trans women. There are some people who are just basically like, I'm not answering the phone unless it's.
I blame a considerable amount of this on the Biden campaign that Harris inherited. And it was a campaign that was running on trying to get white people making over $100,000 a year and not trying to appeal to voter. I mean, look, it's the Democratic Party's voter base is they are not appealing to the people they need to. And when this was over, I saw a lot of memes that said this is what the electoral map looks like if you only get people with a college education. It was like, do you think that's part of the problem? Do you think maybe the fact that the Democratic Party is trying to be a party of the people who have the highest education when we have a highly gate-kept system that only allows certain privileged people to get an education? That is a huge part of the Democrats' problem.
Well, I don't know how much of that is the Democrats' problem or how much of that is just how the problem has been handed to them.
Well, I think that,
if you speak to teachers, they'll tell you that the voucher system, which the Republicans will dry hump from here to eternity, is not a solution. And it's a case where you would think, with it being placed, with the truth, with the facts being placed so prominently, you would at least think about it.
the Democrats,
What I do believe is this. I do believe that what I do believe is correct is that there is a siloing effect. There's a silo effect because I'm going to be honest. I remember the last time the last full day I watched Fox News. I think it was 2014, 2015. It was about 2015. It was before Trump. I stopped watching Fox before Trump. So it was a case where I unintentionally inoculated myself. But how many people can say that? Not that many.
I don't know I really don't know. I could not tell you. I know that I still listened to Rush Limbaugh on the reg through 2011. Like,
I
and I
stopped
don't.
and I can say that by the time 2015 came, I was ready to I was ready to I by the time 2015 came, I was thinking, okay, maybe the Republicans got very close by bringing us a serious candidate in the form of Mitt Romney. I don't like him, but he was serious.
Yeah,
I didn't It was a serious candidate. It was a serious candidate with serious issues, with serious, things. And then when I'm like, oh, I guess the Republicans aren't serious.
would I
And then
have?
I realized how serious they are.
I often wonder, would I have drifted to where I am now if the Republicans had run John Kasich and I could maintain some sort of plausible deniability that the
I think a
Republicans.
lot of people would have stayed. And I think we would have gotten the same result. It would have been the same result of Kasich would have beaten Hillary. That's not even to me, I believe
Oh yeah,
that's not even a question.
I think a ham sandwich that left under a radiator for 3 months could have beaten Hillary Clinton.
Like I said, I think Kasich would have beaten Hillary, and and the racists would have bought themselves another 8 to 10 years of camouflage.
I mean, I had already changed my voter registration to Democrat by 2015, but I still think I would have been able to maintain an air of centrism had
Yeah,
John Kasich been the nominee.
yeah. I think a lot of people. That's why I think a lot of people. I think the Republican Party would have gotten browner quicker and would have maintained a pretense of intelligence.
But I don't understand in I don't understand the we know that globally there's been a rightward shift. I mean,
Yes. That's the
uh,
one thing that's helped me kind of understand that there has been a rightward shift globally, and there are non-political things that I should have been paying attention to.
I think there's not much that we can add to the equation that hasn't add to the conversation that
Yeah, at
hasn't been
this
said by a
point,
million people. But as far as our 2 cents go, my overriding issue is that I think that what I want the most out of this, because we can control what we can control and we can't control what
yeah,
we can't. And we already know that this country is going to go through a very, very dark time. And so what I want to be able to control is make sure the Democrats learn the right lessons from this.
that part. I do believe that at this point they need to, as much as as much work as she does in Congress, I think we need to start looking at ways and paths for representatives Crockett, representatives AOC to get further ahead.
Crockett can be a senator for sure.
Yeah, I
AOC
do.
might have her eyes set on governor.
Governor. Yeah, AOC, I could see, because I mean, let's put it like this: almost anything would be better than Kathy Hochul. I said what I said. I do not give a fuck.
Actually, no, you don't need to pull the "I said what I said." I think everybody agrees, left or right, Democrat or Republican, that Kathy Hochul, she has to be the most hated governor in the country.
I wanted to like her, but bitch, you're no big Gretch. You
Here
are
here's the
you
thing
are
about
no big
Kathy Hochul.
Gretch.
She was the person that Anthony Cuomo put as his second best because he thought, well, people can't get rid of me if I have someone that bad as number two. And here we are.
Yeah, because I'm sorry. I mean, the Cuomo's could unwind their spindly hands. You know, they really could have. I feel as if I feel like they overstayed their welcome, much like the Kennedys in the 80s. I said, much like the Kennedys, no, not the 80s, the 90s. By the 90s, I would say the Kennedys had overstayed their welcome in government.
We don't need no dynasties, and there's no like Robert F. Kennedy being a part of this government is a terrifying notion.
For me, it's the fact that we managed to get good one good election cycle where there was no Kennedy at any level of government, and I do mean any level of government, because one Kennedy cousin lost a school board race.
When was the last time Joe Kennedy the third was in Congress? Did he?
You mean
Now
Trey?
Did he
Trey
leave?
Trey ran for Senate,
And he lost then.
and he lost to Ed Mulkey or Markey. I cannot remember how to pronounce his last name.
Is it Markley?
I think so. And then I think during that same cycle, that other Kennedy cousin lost her school board race. Yes, school board. And no Kennedys.
Honestly, before they had chosen, this was sort of right after Joe Biden dropped out and Kamala Harris was the clear front runner. I thought it would be hilarious, because Robert F. Kennedy is being such a pill, if she chose Joe Kennedy III as her running mate.
I would have gone with Schlossberg, because Schlossberg, I'm sorry, I follow him on TikTok. Like, if we're gonna get a Kennedy, just go crazy, but not RFK Jr. crazy.
Speaking of which,
go reasonably crazy.
Another fuck you to Harris's campaign, and I don't blame Harris for this. I blame the fact that she's got she can't run her campaign and campaign at the same time. There's only a certain amount you can blame the candidate versus blaming her campaign, and I certainly blame the campaign for getting in her ear, telling her that you've got to stop Tim Walz with this weird.
It's weird, because I think Tim Walz I'm gonna be honest. White people are narcissistic and shame-based enough that to have somebody like Tim Walz say, "You guys are acting fucking weird. Nobody likes that shit, and I need y'all to calm the entire fuck down."
There's a certain amount of understanding that Tim Walz should have been more, not front and center, but should have been more visible and should have been on the podcast and on the talk shows more than he was. And I think acknowledging the country's racism is not the same as endorsing its racism. And I think there's a realistic conversation that needs to be had that, look, we are running a black woman at the top of the ticket. We need Mr. White Bread to be more visible, to make it safe, to give a permission to structure for people who are just sort of It's sort of the conversation. I hate the electorate, but I also understand you need to meet the electorate where they are at, and it sucks.
And I think that's the bridge the Democrats had a hard time crossing, and now they're going to throw away their shot, because they're now going to probably, what's going to happen is, right now black women are exhausted, tired, disgusted, and annoyed. Many of us are realizing we have all these fucking degrees and we're not doing anything. And maybe we need to start thinking about leaving the fucking country. And bitch, we might. And y'all are on your own. We're not interested, because when you think about the fact that the moment it became that Kamala became official, all of this money showed up because black women were finally opening their wallets for something. And now it's the case of the wallets are closed, the doors are closed. We're not like, they're talking about this stupid fucking women's march. Nobody going to that. Fuck you.
We need to go back to the Democrats 20 years ago, 50-state strategy, because, to be clear, when the Democrats regrouped after the 2004 popular vote election loss, which should have been an easy win for Democrats, they enacted a strategy which got them the House and the Senate and the presidency. And if they had managed to keep promises and govern like they had the actual mandate of a near 60%, what was Obama's first popular vote margin? Wasn't it like nearly 60%?
65. Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've got to govern like you have that, because Trump's going on talking about how he's got a mandate,
No,
but
and that shit's 1.5 it on a good day. It's a micro penis of a mandate.
I'm remembering that.
It is. It's 1.5. And I believe that is actually 1.5 inches is actually medically recognized as micro length at 1.5 erect. If my memory serves, probably somebody can correct me. But I'm 85 to 95% certain.
Here
I said what
on the Apostates, where you come for your medical discussion of micropenises.
this isn't a medical discussion. That is it is an informal semi-educated guess. That's not medical. That is an informal semi-educated guess. Medical,
Donald
yeah,
Trump
right.
Donald Trump's Donald Trump's popular vote lead is George Costanza yelling, "I was in the pool! I was in the
Basically,
pool!"
and I know Jason Alexander hates that man, but here we are, and I do and trust me, I would apologize to Jason Alexander.
He seems like a nice guy.
I'd absolutely apologize to that man.
Also,
Listen,
a side note, I'm still very sad his show about the sports broadcaster didn't last, because that was a good show.
yeah, he had. Listen, Jason Alexander has a lot of talent, but unfortunately, it's stuffed into a package that Hollywood isn't ready to emotionally accept.
Yo, did you ever see the Twilight Zone episode where he played Death?
No, but I like the idea of death being in either as a black woman or as a cuddly white person.
He played Death in an episode of, I think it was Twilight Zone.
I'm assuming it's that Jordan Peele version.
No, this was like 15, 20 years ago.
Before the Jordan Peele version.
Yeah, they revived it a while back, and he played Death, and the idea was that Death decided to not do his job. And
that sounds like some Jason Alexander shit right there.
Yeah, but it was, of course, being the Twilight Zone, it was taken for its horrifying implications as opposed to comedic, and it was, fantastic.
Of course, but yeah,
Fuck, I remember seeing him in Bye Bye Birdie back in the.
That was hilarious, and I see where they were going with it. I still have, like, as a recovering theater kid, I have thoughts and feelings. I have not yet seen Wicked. I am not emotionally ready to see Wicked. The closest I came to seeing Wicked was watching my drag cousin and the head of the troupe I used to be in doing a routine to Defying Gravity.
So, wife and I are going to see Wicked this week.
Oh boy!
I cannot wait, because I have not seen the musical.
Did you read the book though?
No.
Oh, okay.
This will be my first experience.
Honestly, I thought you would have read the book.
I owned the book. I had planned to read it, but you know how it is with hoarders.
Yeah. Like I said, I honestly thought I knew you had the book. I just wasn't. I assumed you'd already read it.
There's also all sorts of things that, like, I've been trying to make a conscious effort to even catch up. For somebody like myself who styles themselves as a film aficionado, I've been trying to catch up on. I've been trying to catch up on movies that I should have seen by now. So I just watched The Lady Vanishes. I just watched The Lady Vanishes for the first time, and I think it was one of Hitchcock's last British movies, and. Michael Redgrave plays the most charming person in the world for somebody who's such a scumbag. Like, he spends the first 20 minutes of the movie being just the most absolute detestable scumbag, and the rest of the movie you're just like, ooh, I like this guy.
Yeah, I gave up on trying to keep up with movies. I know I should try, but I gave up. I know I'm so behind on everything, mostly because going to movies requires leaving the house, and now that my in-office periods have now declined from like 2 days a week to 1 day a month. Like, leaving the house just seems like is it even worth it to do that shit? To like put on hard pants and like a bra with underwire?
I
Really?
have to. I
In
have to
this
wear.
economy?
I have to wear pants now ever since the injunction.
See, that's what I'm saying.
No, it feels like I don't want to become some sort of horrifying stereotype of what right wingers think that anti-Trumpers are, but it just feels like basic aspects of life are a little harder lately.
Yeah, because I'm thinking about the fact that right now, both parties, like one party we all knew was going to throw trans people under the bus just as a treat to its constituents. Now the other party's terrified because they lost.
They want to blame it on. They want to blame it and say that we've cozied up to trans. Bitch, no, you fucking didn't.
Like, you didn't really cozy. There are things you did some nice things as a treat, but did you really cozy? No, you didn't. Let's be honest. You didn't. Admittedly, maybe some of that is due to the fact that you took one look at the Supreme Court and said, ha, 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 yeah, that's not going to work. And I understand that. I do understand that to some degrees, some things you couldn't do because, like, I'm going to be honest, the student loan thing, after watching what Amy Coathanger Barrett, and I meant that, did regarding student loans, I can understand why the administration didn't pursue it again, because they knew what they were going to get.
Well, first of all, he shouldn't have fucking pursued it under the HEROES Act. He should have always done it under the Higher Education Act. And, I know the fact is the court's going to do what the court's going to do because they can get away with any sort of illegitimate ruling they want to at this point. It doesn't matter. But they should have tried to at least build the foundation on something other than sand to start with. They should have started with the Higher Education Act. And frankly, what I'm concerned about is what happens if the court goes beyond the call of the case like they did in Dobbs? And
Yeah,
in
I'm
getting
just,
rid of the
and I'm,
SAVE Act, they decide Congress didn't have the authorization to delegate student loan repayment plans like they did in the 90s, and they just get rid of all income-based student loan repayment plans. If that happens, I'm telling you, me and everybody else is going to have to declare bankruptcy to wipe out
bankruptcy,
every other type
everything
of
they
debt they
own.
can just to pay off the non-dischargeable student loan debt. That's what I'm going to have to do if they get rid of
Yeah,
income-based repayment plans, because my loans would cost $1,700 per month to pay. If I had to pay $1,700 per month, I would have to declare bankruptcy, and they would give it to me because I'd say, look, I have $1,700 a month. I can't afford to pay for this, and this. I
yeah.
can't discharge those loans, so I need all the rest. Like, I can't pay any of the rest of my
Anything.
obligations.
Yeah, like, and then we're going to see a lot more people with a lot less legal knowledge and means starting to sell feet and open OnlyFans. And then they're going to make porn illegal.
And they'll flood the market with feet, so it'll be worth so much less. So you're talking,
And they'll make porn illegal. So here we are.
which the Democrats helped.
Yeah, with some of the COSA, I think it was the COSA Act,
Esta
correct?
Fossa or whatever it was.
Yeah, and that was actually when I remember how I was kind of skeptical of Kamala from that point, where I was like, I don't know about that.
Well, I was skeptical of her in the way that I'm skeptical of pretty much every other Democrat that gets to the point where they can run for president, because I have problems with all of it. I have problems with Klobuchar. I have problems with Whitmer. I have problems
I
with
think we had problems with
Buttigieg.
everybody. Yes.
So, like, my problems with all of these candidates are the problems where I'm going to be on the ground floor trying to hold their feet to the fire when they get to the point where they run for president, no matter who they are. But I would much prefer them being president than I would a literal
Yeah.
fascist.
Yeah, because honestly, I'm honestly, you could give me the barely coherent, barely mortal body of Jimmy Carter and Pete Buttigieg, and I'd be fine.
I
And
am. I am.
you'd be fine too.
I am just so glad that Jimmy Carter not just outlived Kissinger, but looks like will have a longer life than Kissinger did.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, I don't know if he wants it, but
but here we are.
um,
But here we are. I mean, honestly, I feel bad because we totally let Jimmy down, and that was like my act of atonement.
yeah,
Like, this fucking sucks.
yeah. You know what's
But here
funny?
we are.
What is hilarious to me is
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Carter's. I think that Jimmy Carter's vindication is going to
Mm-hmm.
come a lot sooner thanks to Joe Biden,
I do believe that.
because Joe Biden, because of the way history and narratives are written, people are going to remember Biden by his last year in office, which pretty much erased the goodwill of his first three. And I think that people, even people who liked Joe Biden over time, are going to come to remember him as a terrible president.
Even though there were some really, even though the first three should outweigh the
Yeah,
last year.
I think
And all I know is right now, I mean, it's kind of funny. Clyburn is how he got into this office, and Clyburn could be how he destroys his legacy, because Clyburn's talking all this mess about you should pardon Trump. No, he should not.
I say this with all due respect to the good that Clyburn has done in his life,
Done, but
but
no.
you are 84 years old. You should not be allowed to govern or legislate. Your brain is mashed potatoes. So Clyburn, Biden, Feinstein,
Well, Feinstein's already
all
dead.
she is, but I just mean in general, like there are different kinds of sins: staying in longer than you needed to, and then staying in until you're dead. Like Feinstein's delays on
Yeah,
what the fuck, whatever committee it's called,
judicial.
but
I believe she was on the
the
judicial
delays in
committee.
judicial appointments that have
Yeah,
occurred because she couldn't do her job, or Ruth Bader Ginsburg staying on well after her like second cancer diagnosis when
yeah.
she
Right
should have
now, I'm
resigned.
waiting to see, because I think what it is Sotomayor. Let's put it like this. I
She better
honestly
live another
believe
12 or
12 to 15 years,
yeah.
because I do believe that if Kamala had won, Sotomayor would have immediately retired. That's not a. I think she would have been like, I am good, I am done. And I think she would have felt comfortable, and she would have retired, and they would have replaced her with, I think at that point, that's when we would have gotten our indigenous justice.
I think that Democrats need to fucking learn to stop playing as if, and first of all, this idea that justices are impartial. No, they're not. Justices are
No, they're not.
partisan, and
I
they always
think we
have
can.
been.
I think what it is we need to get off the grinder grid that is institutionalism. There's so many promises and so many things we tell ourselves, and we lie that we're a top when in reality we're a bottom. That we do all this shit when it comes to being in service of the institution. But then you have the Republicans who come in Bible and scissors in hand, basically saying God told me to dismantle this.
You need to be appointing 35-year-old justices to the Supreme Court. You need to be appointing 25-year-old, 27-year-old justices to the circuit courts of appeals. That's just it. The next time a
Yeah,
Democrat gets in office, they need to stop playing around. If there are
they
any
need to. In
justices,
other words, I do think Monique Worrell is ready. In other words, Monique Worrell, we could have, like, basically, we could have had a bad bitch. We could have had a lot. Like, yes, I do appreciate that they've appointed all these black women to federal, and many of them are young. Many of
well,
them are young, but
actually, let's talk about that, because it is not lost on me the fact that Joe Biden didn't just appoint a bunch of black women. He said, I'm going to appoint a bunch of black women. Mr. Like, I want a constitutional amendment that will prevent busing. Mr. Like,
mm-hmm.
borderline segregationist
Creationist.
Joe
Mm-hmm.
Biden made it a point to tell people, I'm going to put, he tokenized black women to put them in advanced places. He didn't just do it. And in many ways, that kind of handicapped a lot of careers that on the merits deserve to be there in the first place.
It's the fact that that they're going to say DEI.
I mean, they would anyway, but why
They
give
would
them
anyway,
that?
but
Why give
now
them
it's
that?
yeah. And the thing is, but by the numbers, when you see, and then even after watching Ketanji Brown absolutely have the most heartbreaking yet educated exchange with Chase Strangio, like this exchange that translated to the regular person sounds like, Esquire Strangio, you and I, we are, let's breathe in this historic moment. Let's breathe in this historic moment. Okay, Justice Jackson, I'm with you. We're breathing in this historic moment. But let's be real. Let's keep it a bean. How fucked are we? How fucked are we, Esquire Strangio? How fucked are we, counselor? Justice Jackson, we are hella fucked. Oh my God, we are mad fucked. I'm fucked first, then it's gonna be you. Then it might be your marriage. Then it might be your very freedom itself. Okay, counselor, I thought so. That's basically this exchange. That's basically what it boiled down to. It was one of the most heartbreaking things I've ever seen. First trans lawyer to argue in front of the Supreme Court, exchanging with the first black female justice on the Supreme Court, and it was the most depressing shit I'd ever seen in my goddamn life. That shit hurt. It hurt because, I mean, having to wait every 4 years to see if you have rights is a fucking joke.
It's not a way to live.
It's really not. It's weathering. I mean, you've heard me mention weathering regarding black women. I do believe that in a more educated time we would start a longitudinal study on trans people of all demographics across the United States, on weathering on trans people in general. And I do believe that if you were to break down the numbers, probably would be comparable to black women. Probably would be comparable to black women. I don't think it's scientifically impossible to sit there and say, well, shit. Yeah, okay. Now that you've come forward as trans, guess what? Your risk for diabetes goes up this much. Your risk for ALS goes up that much. Even though your risk for various immune deficiencies goes up this much. It's gonna get ugly.
Florida has now decided that they will forcibly detransition all inmates. No,
they will
we're talking about a handful of people, but again,
but still, But here's the thing: it's like they're forcibly detransitioning anyone whose chest does not meet the standard. Bitch, do you know you could get? There are women, cis women, born, no surgery, cis, who are as undeveloped as the day is long. And with the fact that Florida is one of the states that is the nooses are getting tighter, and I did mean noose, and I did mean that, is getting tighter as to define being outside the law, especially if you're not white, especially if you're trans. They're defining it even closer. I will not be shocked if you do get somebody a cis woman caught up in these.
Missouri, through the election, the electorate voted to codify abortion protections in their constitution, and the Republican heads of state are trying to roll that back, and they will be successful. And to
Yeah.
which I say, there's a lot of people who are of a certain hue who believe that they can vote for the monsters if they make sure they vote for the protections for themselves. And the
Yeah.
lesson that they will learn is,
Ugly
bitch, your face is edible by leopards too.
too. And I think, and watching various states close down their their maternal mortality panels is basically an admission that Dobbs' intent was to make sure that women do die so that they can say they did everything possible to save the life of the child. Because honestly, fuck the mother. The husband can go get another wife. The younger, the better. The whiter, the better. Because no one wants to have a conversation that if we were a poorer, browner country, we would be sending Arleigh Burke class carriers and Zodiac boats in the dead of night to fix this.
You know, in order to avoid kind of focusing on the same subject for the entirety of the episode, um, I will segue the sort of reference to our interventions in other countries' bullshit to Syria for the moment, because it had seemed up until recently that Syria's extremely long civil war had been in a stalemate. And that stalemate ended dramatically over the course of just a couple of days, where the
Yes.
decades long Assad dynasty regime has
Finally
been toppled.
collapsed. Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
understand that there are concerns that the rebels themselves were a considerable amount of it was a sort of Islamist um, kind of a movement behind it. We don't know what the future holds. We don't know what kind of country Syria is going to become. But
Nope. But
I
right
think
now,
that Assad
but
being
right,
gone is a great thing.
yeah, but yeah, because right now regular Syrians have gone into the various Assad family compounds and have raided the place, and I love that for them.
And it freed a hell of a lot of political prisoners.
Yeah,
And
and have returned the bodies to the families, and for whom there are some prisoners that have been in there so long and their minds are so broken they don't even remember who they are. That is that.
excuse me one moment.
Yep.
What? You said you had to go out. So go out. You barked. Come on, go. 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 Come on. Siri, you too. Gathering. Come on. Good babies. Good girl. Sorry to disappear.
No,
Sasha
that's fine.
needed to go out. She's a good girl. She was out right before we did the show, but apparently she had more to do.
Nice.
But as far as Assad's toppling, it's a good thing, I think.
Yeah.
Now, the hindsight of history, maybe a year from now or even a month from now, we'll discover somehow, maybe, that things were better off before because maybe the new people are even worse. But
Yeah,
that
that's
is what we know is how terrible it was under Assad, and that is over. And I think, uh, we can say that this can be a great thing for the people of Syria, and it can be a great thing for the people of the region as well. I
yeah.
mean, was Iran and Assad. I think the the fewer allies Iran has, might be for the better.
Of course.
Maybe the people of Iran can. I had looking back to the sort of uprisings in Iran a few years ago. Um, they didn't really amount to anything, and it's not like I want there to be an uprising that causes countless death and destruction, but maybe if in some ways this is the start of something that can free a lot of people, maybe I'm being naive. I would just like that. I would just like it if we lived in a world where people were in control of their own destinies and, you know, giant theocratic governments,
Hmm.
that threw people in jail and tortured them for, singing in public. Well, we're gone. So whatever happens, I really hope for the best
Yeah.
of the Syrian people and in the Middle East broader, the Iranian people, everybody else.
Yeah.
So I don't think I don't know. I don't have that much to say about it. Just that I hope what happens from here is good for them all.
Yeah. I guess what it is they deserve their vacation from history as well.
People
They
deserve
deserve
to be the authors of their own destiny and
that part.
deserve not to be gassed by their own leaders. um, so I guess we've got enough time, a couple of minutes perhaps, to devote to Jay-Z finding a 100th problem.
I should not laugh. I should
No,
not
it's
laugh.
horrible. It's
It's
horrible. So we
like
kind of have
honestly,
so we kind
here's
of
the
have to
thing.
laugh.
A lot of people kind of knew you know how everyone suspects something, they think they know something, and then finally it comes out and everyone's like, well, shit.
Or like me with Kevin Spacey, I told you I knew that shit, and I was right.
Yes, you and I mean for me it's more a matter of the fact that his response though is that he's saying, okay, so you have that, you know what, why don't you just make it a criminal case? But I'm like, he knows that it can't be a criminal case because at this point, didn't the door close for the state of New York on prosecuting these as criminal cases?
I mean, if the New York legislature wants to do something wonderful, they could remove the statute of limitations because that thing can be retroactively removed by legislation. Um, and I mean, it has led to a lot of civil cases being legislated because they've removed the statute of limitations for civil penalties.
Yeah,
What I will
and
say,
that's what it appears happened here.
man, I totally forgot what I was going to say. But it's just that I think that I don't think when the news came out, I'm not going to repeat. You can Google it, but if you don't feel like Googling it, just trust us. It's horrifying what Jay
Yeah.
Z's been accused of. But I will also say that I don't think that when anybody saw that, they went, "Not Jay Z."
Z? I do believe that, yeah, very most people went, huh, okay, that makes sense. It's one of those things that sadly he was in the who I do believe that he was in enough people's pools that they would have absolutely said, yeah, no, it tracks. And I know people think, oh, at this point, what's her name's gonna leave him? She's not. She's not.
people who are that wealthy. I mean, Mackenzie Bezos is a different thing because she
Being,
just
yeah.
straight up, I guess, straight up just didn't like him. But like, this is
I
more.
think it's a case of straight up didn't like him and straight up knew that that there wouldn't have been any Amazon without her.
There is, but like when it comes to, I look at Jay-Z and Beyonce as I look at Bill and Hillary Clinton, where it's just
That's
that
fair.
their marriage is not built solely on how they feel about each other.
It's really not.
And I've always thought that their marriage was just a business transaction. Now, I don't think it may just have been a business transaction, but I am pretty sure that it was a
I
business
do believe,
transaction.
yeah, and I do believe that this is a case where I think it's going to be some time before, and I do think that Beyonce might, just to let him know how she really feels. I believe she is going to once again leave him in a room, not necessarily an elevator like last time. I believe he's going to leave him in a room with Solange. Solange, honestly, listen. So I will not be shocked if they're in a lot if they're in an ante room somewhere and Solange just lets him know what's up. Because honestly, that was hilarious and humiliating to Jay-Z. Knowing that your sister-in-law, your tiny little sister-in-law, who everyone knows is a better songwriter anyway, but hey, I don't care. No, I love Beyonce, but let's all be honest with ourselves. Solange is a better songwriter. Take
Obviously. But
take it
also,
home.
I think it's interesting to say that Beyonce is overrated because there's like this idea that she's like the biggest superstar. But listen, even the albums of hers I love, which are exactly two,
Mm-hmm.
are not perfect. That's all
No,
I'm just gonna say. But you know who
there
does
are
have?
some skips.
There are album like when it comes to pop masterpiece. Like I put Adele in the realm of Beyonce in the
Yeah,
sense that
that's fair.
global phenomenons who have
Mm-hmm.
made great music,
Yes.
but I'm not paying for those fucking tickets.
Facts. Like, though, when she had her Vegas residency, I really would have probably gone to see Adele.
If I had been comped the tickets, I would have gone. I would have I would have paid the other things to go so I could just
Yeah,
the point the
you would
point
have
is
lost you would have been more than happy to lose a couple bucks and have a host feel sorry for you.
here's the thing with it's a little different with Beyonce's most recent album, which is a vast departure. Um,
Yeah.
but generally, Adele and Beyonce are the type of artists who make music where you just you turn it on and it's not like, wow, she's doing something different with this. It's just, wow, this is Adele or Beyonce doing the usual thing that they're good at.
Yeah.
Um, you fucking, you know who I think blows both of them out the water is Rihanna because you can listen
Okay.
to Rihanna do like multiple genres credibly. And it doesn't sound like, oh, Rihanna's trying this now. It just sounds like this is another thing Rihanna's good at.
Fair. Cuz I do think about a song like Desperado. The fact that I often think that it's a lost opportunity that Kurt Sutter never used that song in any season of for Sons of Anarchy cuz Desperado would have fit.
Fuck.
I
So
think that that's a tragedy that Kurt Sutter never used Desperado at any point.
tragedy, as in love without tragedy.
Bitch, maybe. Like I
What's
listened to
love
that song.
without tragedy? Yeah.
Like I said, I honestly believe that is one secret. Well, not that secret. One rarely discussed missed opportunity. I honestly believe that that would have been a great montage piece for Sons of Anarchy. I believe that that is one thing. And I mean, yeah, Rihanna, people, I think the fact that, let's put it like this, the way people have reacted because Rihanna has become gone on this extended hiatus from making music.
Let her.
Yeah, and it's to the point where where I keep making jokes like the army better not be expecting nothing from her, but at the same time, I'm like, be nice.
Here's the way I put it. Billy Joel has been on a semi-permanent hiatus from making new music since 1993. And like no one's giving him the level of shit they're giving Rihanna.
That's true. I mean, the fact that we waited for Chinese democracy for how long?
I'm going to say this, and please don't
You're
laugh.
gonna hold me. Yeah.
I think if you take it away from the vacuum of how long we waited for it,
Mm-hmm.
Chinese Democracy is a fine album. It's no Use Your Illusion. Nothing
It's
can
really
be.
not.
Nothing can
Mm-hmm.
be. People need to not expect that because it's not going to happen no matter what. But the fact is, I think Chinese Democracy was a fine album. It wasn't worth 13 years.
Years of us waiting.
And now it's been longer since Chinese Democracy than it was from Chinese Democracy the last album. But I will tell you that Chinese Democracy is way better than the absolute dog shit that Guns N' Roses have released as their last 4 singles. One of them was good. Hard School was good. Not great, but it's good. But the rest, like Absurd and the just sound like shit. Even
They were bad.
like
I don't
Absurd
discuss
is a
them. They
bad
never.
Absurd is a bad song, period.
I
But
don't
then you take
discuss them. Those hurt my soul, and I will never forgive that. I'm just.
then you take the General, which not only is it a mediocre song, it also the production is like, I'm sorry, but once upon a time we told Guns N' Roses we would give you millions upon millions of dollars for a single music video, including an animatronic dolphin. And we would we would spend the budget of a movie on one of your fucking music
Yeah.
videos. And now their production sounds like someone recorded it in their garage with fucking Pro Tools, and it was some
Not Pro
music
Tools.
music production
Not Pro
students, like
Tools.
not even their capstone project, but a semester project. The production sounds like absolute dog shit. Guns N' Roses has become a joke. And frankly, if this is what they're offering with their legacy lineup, they can keep the lineup they had with Chinese Democracy. If I could even get another Chinese Democracy, I would rather have another Chinese Democracy with just Axl and a bunch of other people than I would have the bullshit that this legacy lineup with Slash and Duff come up with. Or better yet, I would just put like the millions of dollars that people are throwing at Guns N' Roses and give it to Izzy Stradlin and say, use this money to make another couple solo albums because you clearly were the heart and soul and the writing behind this band. That's right. I fucking said it. There is no Guns N' Roses.
Wait, didn't Axl Rose block you on Twitter?
No.
Or Facebook?
No, I never had beef with Axl Rose.
Who from Guns N' Roses blocked you?
No one from Guns N' Roses blocked me.
I have sworn it was either Guns N' Roses or was it just David Lee Roth?
Neither.
Okay.
I will tell you that I got into an online beef with Alex Proyas.
That's probably what I was. No,
because his stupid Egypt movie or whatever it was I can't remember what it was, but I remember
Gods of Egypt.
Gods of Egypt, and I said, it's a I said online it was a failure, and he was like, we're doing great in international markets. I
Well,
fucking
it's
hate
doing great
Alex
in
Price. I hate.
international markets because you gave us an Egypt without black people.
So did Ridley Scott, but people still gave Ridley Scott the time of day, and that's because Ridley Scott's at least a good filmmaker. Alex Proyas sucks. The Crow
That
sucks.
was just
The Crow sucks.
all I
Dark
gotta
City
say.
sucks. Knowing sucks. I fucking said it. They all suck.
The
I hate the
Crow.
Crow. I hate the Crow. I hate Dark City. All those cult
The Crow.
classics. Yes, they suck.
Mm. Mm. I just I don't know how I feel about that as a '90s. No. Like
I was
knowing was trash, but I can't. No, we don't do the Crow slander in this house.
all right. I'm willing to retract the Crow. Simply, and if you'll remember, I was one of the before the cultural reassessment and realignment came around to say that Forrest Gump sucks. I've been saying it sucked this whole time.
I mean, Forrest Gump is overlong, and that's what and I'm definitely gonna say that was it. It was overlong. You didn't. There's at least an hour of shit they could have gotten rid of.
Forrest
I
Gump.
said,
No, Sasha, you were literally just outside like 10 minutes ago.
she had some thoughts and feelings about Forrest Gump. She needs to let go.
So we will end in the next 3 minutes. Since Sasha
and I'm just gonna say that right now with the Lions looking the way they are, I'm looking forward to the Super Bowl.
The Lions might win their first ever Super Bowl and their first NFL championship since what, the 50s?
60s. We need it. Everyone needs it. I need Kendrick Lamar to absolutely somehow work a song from Wicked into his show, and that would give everybody what they want.
Well, we will call it a night, but before I do, I just have to check and see. Yeah, David Zaslav's still alive.
Oh my God! You know what? You know how Joe Biden could redeem his legacy? He could
pull a Luigi and assassinate.
He could make it an official act. Yeah, release Luigi with strict orders to handle David Zaslav. Make it an official act. We would let it go. It would be fine. We would be able to go on as a country. We would be a proper country again.
We just need a Waluigi. Good night, everybody. Good night, everybody. Good night.
Not a Waluigi.